Hello and welcome back to episode 3 here on the Forestlake Morning Show. I'm your co-host Tyler Cohen.
I'm your other host, Brendan.
And we have a good one for you today talking about the songwriting process. Now for us, I think as a band, it's not really a how-to video. We're just kind of generalizing the concepts that are associated with it. And we'll kind of start off with how we do it.
How do we do it?
It's a
I
good
think that's
question.
a real question.
It is generally a process of what I feel like you're creating ideas by yourself and then bringing them to me, and then I'm creating ideas by myself and then bringing them to you. I don't know how many times we really have sat down and said, we're going to write something right here, right now. If we do, or when we do that, I feel like nothing ever happens with those. That
is kind of true. Yeah. Or vice versa. Like you'll kind of work on an idea and then bring it over, and I'll work on like the production aspect of it a bit, and then we kind of collab and really dive into it and finish it out.
Certainly. But one thing that we have noticed here since moving here is this. It's funny for you because I feel like you're just, and I'll get to this later when we talk about the inspiration, but you're like a robot to me when you come up with these ideas, and usually they occur when I leave the house. So I'll leave the house.
Seems to be a thing, doesn't it?
It does, right? I'll leave the house to go do something or hang out with somebody and just get to know the Tampa area. And then I come home and this kid's working on some magic up here. A number of the songs that we have started here that we think we'll be releasing soon kind of created from that, I would say.
Yeah. I think honestly what it is like guitar players just want to play loud, right? But I'm also very like courteous to other people. So like when the house is empty, I'll just crank up an amp, and that's usually when like a cool riff pops out or something. I'm like, oh, let me record that real quick.
Now, are you drawing inspiration from things too? Like, I'll talk about it in a minute here with where I get kind of my inspiration, but not being a lyricist as much, right? But heavy on the instrumentation because you're rooted in guitar. Do you get inspiration from like heartbreak and like life and wondering about things?
Not at all.
To create riffs or?
So my inspiration more comes from just what I listen to. And I'm always trying to listen to like new things. Like even just listening to like Latin guitar. Like you're never going to write a Latin guitar song, but you're listening to it. You're kind of getting the feel of like what scales they're using, what, progressions they're doing. And then you try to translate that into like your own sound.
Now, where are you drawing the line between what you're taking as inspiration between copying? You know what I mean? Do you ever see that?
No,
because I've seen that with myself sometimes.
It's not note for note, but you feel inspired after listening, to someone for so long. You feel inspired, and you're like, oh, I want to do something with that. So you kind of tool around with that riff, and you end up creating like a spin-off of it in a way.
So what you're saying is you can't just go to the beach, look at a sunset, and like feel some mystical energy, and then come home and write something that stems from that. Because that's kind of how I work.
But that's typically not how it works.
Not
with me. No.
Okay.
Everyone's a little different.
Everyone is different. And that's the other thing to note here is the process is different for everybody. We just want to touch on some of the big concepts. Inspiration is what I feel like the biggest foundational concept of songwriting, right? So your inspiration from...
And I wish there was a formula for it. Because half of our ideas get shot down on a regular basis.
So it's not easy. I know
Yeah.
Being in a collaborative space between you and me alone, I've seen how we shoot ideas down. I'll be thinking something's cool because it's what I've created. I
probably just won't say anything then.
And then
if I don't like it, I'll just stay silent.
I can read when you don't like something. I can tell. I'm like, there's no, like when I'm feeling it, I'm writing lyrics. I'm like dancing around, and this kid's just sitting here doing nothing. I'm like, fuck, this is not good. Which is part of the process, and I think important. I don't do it as much with you because I think you just generally have a really good idea most of the time.
I don't know. It also it depends on like how the song is written originally. Like, if it's more bare bones, just a guitar or piano track or something, like you really have to have a good melody for that to click. Opposed to like if you have a cool patch or cool instrument that you just recorded, that will catch your ear a lot quicker. Then you can start going, okay, that's really cool. Let's add some better melodies to it.
Yeah, and talking bare bones there with the guitar or piano, I think it's where you have to start essentially, right? You can't just, you can write lyrics and write them out in the structure of a song, verse, chorus, verse, bridge, whatever. But when you don't really have a song until you put melody and sound behind it. And you can do that with your voice. Your voice is an instrument. People can do that.
Your voice is an instrument. I feel like a lot of people don't think of it like an instrument, but it really is, especially when you're writing melodies. Just write the melody on the guitar or piano and then convert that to your voice.
Right. Especially if you're a great vocalist. Right. Yeah. Not particularly something I'm great at, but you can sing a melody so much with so much conviction if you have a really good range or really good sound with your voice and know how to use it.
Absolutely.
I feel like everybody can sing. People tell me they can't sing. I tell them all the time, you can sing, you can do it. Just
I feel like anyone can sing if they just do it often enough, because it's a muscle and you're just training the muscle. That's all it is.
Yeah, and everybody sings in the car or shower. Come on.
Sure.
Let's be honest. Yeah. You do it. But anyway, and you know what's funny too? You mentioned you wish there was a formula. What's coming to mind real quick?
You got one?
I know who has the formula.
Ryan Tedder?
Ryan Tedder has the formula. That's a conversation for another day, but there is a guy out there named Ryan Tedder, lead singer of One Republic, and he does have the formula.
He has the formula.
To songwriting.
Yeah.
Something we definitely have been trying to crack the code of, but
would love to get that from him.
We'll get there one day.
Yeah.
But starting with the bare bones, so let's jump back real quick with inspiration. You got to be inspired, unless you're really good at just telling a story on the whim, whether you're naturally that creative or maybe under some sort of substance. I know that's a big thing. Big bands have been known to just be under heavy drugs, and they just come up with these songs.
Back in the days.
Back in the days, yeah.
60s, 70s.
Yeah.
The Beatles. I mean,
it's ridiculous.
Everyone.
Zeppelin. Not how we write songs, but maybe it does help some people. Not that we're advertising that. But inspiration in some way definitely matters. You have to pull emotion and pull from whatever experiences you've had or trials and tribulations of life to write. It just really shows through. I know with like Welcome to Uncharted Territory, that's all emotion. That's songs written, not that they're great songs, but they're written from a place of everything I went through during that period, and then you were able to help.
That was a lot of trial and error on that album.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of work.
Everything's a progress, but it just shows you that things come from a place of experience. So it matters.
Yeah, so kind of touching on like the lyric side. Yesterday I read that like if you have a kind of a cool song title or like an idea for a song, maybe it's like The Red House or something, or you see a red house, you're like, oh, that could be cool. Write your lyrics around that. Like, what is the red house? What does it mean to you? What goes on there? Who's in there? Where did it go? Like, all this kind of stuff, and it just slowly builds out your entire song. That builds out your verses and everything. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
It is kind of interesting. You're kind of creating the story from a song title, working song title.
Yeah.
Caveat with us is that I feel like our song titles stem way later. Everything is
for the most part
is a date. We date our ideas, so it's like 6/22/22, right? Yep. As we date it, and then we'll figure out a song.
Which kind of becomes I don't know if that's the best way to do it. Like it gets pretty messy at times, and you're like, well, what the hell was 6/12/22? Like, what did that sound like?
Yeah. And maybe that's just us with working on the back end of a DAW in the Pro Tools sessions that we have. Just I feel like many people could relate that are affiliated with it, but very interesting way to definitely help formulate a song more if you're looking to rely on lyrics. Now, I will say with lyrics, and I'm not sure if you agree with me or not, but I'm going to take a heavy stance that lyrics do not matter in the slightest bit. And I'll give you two examples right here. Number one, Katy Perry in her song called Fireworks says, now I'm just going to quote this, "Do you ever feel like a plastic bag?" And I'm going to leave it there.
What's the other one?
The other one is Harry Styles, who's a professional.
Oh, is this Daylight?
This is Daylight. So he just dropped an album. It's really good. Go listen to it. What's his album called?
Music for a Sushi Restaurant, right?
That's what he called the album.
I think so.
Or has he called it Daylight?
Oh, Harry's House.
Harry's House. Go listen to Harry's House. The first time I was listening to it, I didn't really like it. Second time, it's great. But Harry Styles and whoever he's writing songs with, they are saying things that are just so ridiculous, but it doesn't even
the
matter.
Honey one?
Yeah, so in their song Daylight, he says, you be the spoon, dip you in honey so I could be sticking to you.
It's a little rough. But
that's taken out of context.
Has a killer melody attached to it, and that's all you really hear, and that's what you remember.
And even Katy Perry's Firework, right? You know, do you ever feel like a plastic bag taken out of context? You're like, what the fuck does that even mean? You know,
so that kind of goes to like collabing though. Like you collab with someone, and you're gonna come up with these like these weird lyrics, these great melodies. You know, it's like if you were to write a song by yourself,
right?
And I would write a song by myself, writing to like the same beat or something. Just we're just writing lyrics and melodies. It'd be totally different, and they might be good, but I feel like if we were to come together, it would be fully unique. It would just be a lot stronger melody to it,
right?
You know, because you're just kind of shooting ideas off of each other.
Well, that's the thing too. Collaboration's so huge.
Yeah,
that's what brought me down here to work on this project with you, the Forestlake band project, and so many people can relate. It's very hard to do it alone, and I've taken this sample from a lot of people, and they said, yeah, it's just not easy to do alone. And people that are these radio hits you hear are not done alone. There are many people on this project, many famous people that you just don't even know about. Ryan Tedder being one who has his hands on so many big hits.
Everything.
Yeah, everything. You know, so you need collaboration, and you need feedback too.
Yeah, I was gonna say feedback, because a lot of people can't collab. Like maybe they just don't know enough people in the industry. They don't have friends that are musicians or songwriters. But if anything, just ask for feedback. Everyone listens to music, right? Yeah. So, I mean, ask your mom, ask your dad, your sister, to say, hey, you know, what do you think of this song? Does it suck? Because they'll be very blunt with you if it sucks.
Yeah, and
usually
they should be. Yeah. You need an inner circle. For us, we have some people. Again, my sister's one of them. I feel like, because she's just so blunt and she's brutal, so brutal with our stuff. But it is such a crucial part of the process, because I know for me, I tend to overvalue what I work on. Like I was mentioning earlier, I have an attachment to it. So like, because it's pulling emotion from somewhere that I've experienced or something, especially when it comes to like heartbreak or like love, when I'm falling in love or whatever the fuck that is, it means something so much to me, and I'm so attached to it that it's hard for me to take it out of context and say, okay, is this really good? How can we make this better?
Yeah. You know? Yeah. 100%. Like you get really into the song. Yeah. And I think you kind of lose focus on like, oh, is this even good to begin with? Like you just find this rhythm or this melody or something, and you just hardcore just put your head down and do it. Yeah. And it might just suck, like, to begin with. You know, there's a little term in mixing: you can't polish a turd. Yeah. Because like mixing engineers would just get terrible tracks, and then they would just, you know, the artist would be like, oh wow, you know, just make this good, make this good. It's like, well, you recorded it terribly to begin with. Like, it's not going to sound good no matter how much work they do.
It's so funny you say that, because out of Cleveland, Ohio, shout out to Lava Room Recording Studios. Sam Osborne's our vocal engineer. He's great. He's also a producer. He does some amazing work. But being close with him with the songs that we've worked on, he's been able to say that same thing, where he'll have the Cleveland rappers come in, you know, and you know, they pay, but he's polishing turds, dude, and he'll try to tell people like, I can only do so much. And yeah, and that's a whole other conversation, because I feel like some people may, like for me, I'm not a great vocalist, but we can make it work with the sound of our band, right? Like we're not trying to go screaming out of reach with vocal ranges and our melodies.
Yeah, that's kind of the other thing, really, is like know your vocal range.
Yeah, know your vocal range, or know where you fit. Exactly. If you're a vocalist, if you're in the songwriting process not as a vocalist, then you get in where you fit in. If you're the guitar player, bass player, do drummers songwrite?
Drummers are just kind of their own thing. I've learned in the past.
Like, you can't write a song with the drum set.
You keep your drummer happy, and you kind of leave him alone. Yeah. And that's it. Just let him be.
I mean, maybe there's a songwriting, producing drummer, but for the most part, you can't just take a drummer and say,
I think Shinedown, their drummer, does a lot of their production.
Does he?
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, but the drummer's not going to sit there and start playing 2/4 and just say, this is the verse. No. Crash, chorus. Oh, God, you know what I mean? Like,
except he's got the whole song written out. It's just drum track laid out. Guys, it's done.
Yeah. No, there would have to be. And many people who play music will probably, at some point or another, try to mess around with other instruments, unless they just know they're good at what they're good at. But yeah, it's very interesting when you think about it like that, for sure. Definitely can't polish a turd.
Well, so with that, I would also say investing into your music is huge. Like, invest as much as you can into your music, whether that be time, you know, invest as much time as you can, money too, because production is not cheap, mixing is not cheap for a good engineer, and really find the best engineers that you can to work on your stuff, because it does make a big difference.
It makes a huge difference.
And when someone listens to your track for the first time, that initial sound is what they're hearing. They're hearing that production, that mix, that master. And if you're just trying to do it on the low and just doing it in your bedroom, that's great. It's a great start. But at a certain point, no one's really going to take that seriously.
Yeah, it's where I feel like what we're as a band trying to do to the max, and we do have plenty of people, not plenty of people, I shouldn't say that, but we have a person who's somewhat in the industry that we found. Do we mention her name?
Daniela.
We'll
give her a shout out.
Daniela Rivera she's a god.
She's great.
She's so great.
Really, really good.
She's so genuine. She's perfect. She's in the industry. We just found her through pretty much a Google search of who we listen to and stuff she's worked on.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
All the purpose of that is just to basically what he's saying. You got to go out beyond your reaches of your local scene. I think, and I hate to keep bringing up Cleveland, but we only know mostly Cleveland because we grew up there. Your mix engineers there are good, but are they next level, or the next level that you should be?
Just see who they've worked on.
Right.
For this case, I think we literally typed in like who mixed Coldplay or something, like
mix engineers for Coldplay.
We were like going down Coldplay's records and like looking at all their mix engineers and assistants and all that, and we found Daniela, and she was approachable and reasonable with her rates. So,
and the thing there is, it is an investment, right? You do have to have money for these things. These people earn their keep because they back up their end of the deal with their skills. So it's not necessarily easy for a songwriter starting off to just be like, oh, you guys talk about it like it's easy. You can just go pay this much money for... Yeah. No. But it's a part of the process. It's the journey.
It takes time.
Look at where we've come from since day one when we were collaborating on From the Outside Looking In.
Yeah. And I think with this new album that we're working on, we've realized it's more like, okay, we don't need to rush to get a record out right now.
Right.
Let's really hone in, focus, save, and, kind of release them when they're done.
Yes.
Let's focus on quality now rather than just getting it out by the, end of the year or something.
Yeah. Definitely a key process that we want to emphasize. Like, invest into. It doesn't just have to be audio, mix engineering, mastering. It could be songwriting specifically, or production,
or even marketing afterwards. Promote it, get it out there.
Yeah.
Get it in front of as many people as you can.
And that's something we're still learning. That's
we are
iceberg. Or not, I would say that's Mount Everest right there.
It's a whole different game. It really is. And you can spend all the money in the world on marketing and not do it correctly, and just you'll lose it all. Like,
but
no one will care.
I feel like on the flip side, you can spend a lot of money on marketing and have a shit song that somehow still gets.
Can we do what U2 did and just get our music automatically put into like iTunes,
force it into
everyone's phone?
I heard about that.
How much would that cost?
I still don't even know how that happened, and I don't even know what they came out and said about it. But just a quick note for anybody who hasn't heard about that. Basically, U2 they had an upcoming album, and it just like conveniently got automatically downloaded onto so many devices.
Everyone's phone, everyone's iPhone. It was great.
There's probably people who never even knew that it's probably still on their phone. Like older people, like my dad.
They're gonna open up iTunes and just see.
Like, wait, what?
I don't know what record that was. That was 10 years ago, maybe.
It was. I think it was at least 5. It wasn't. I don't think it was 10 years ago.
No.
Maybe it was. I don't know the details of it. But interesting stuff nonetheless. I will say, there was a moment there you were talking about, like the audio quality. So Tommy Rich.
Tommy Rich.
There's so many memories in my head of this. He's a mentor of mine and probably yours as well. Back at the School of Rock days. But I feel like I remember him saying all the time that you have 5 seconds to get somebody to like your song.
Oh, I think I have heard.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
5 seconds.
It's kind of true. I've heard a lot of people say that. Especially with pop, because pop songs follow like a loose rule.
What?
Like you just got to get right into the verse right away.
Yeah. People
want to hear your voice, and then you got to get into the chorus as soon as you can. Like 30 seconds, but definitely under a minute. Get into that chorus.
It is a interesting thing. You can't. it's hard to drop a 10-minute long song nowadays.
Yeah, I mean,
unless you're already established.
Some bands do it. Yeah, exactly. Unless you're already established.
Right, but you're not, like, we couldn't drop a 10-minute song.
No one would want to listen.
Nobody's going to listen. I wouldn't want to listen to it. And not to get into this, this is all just a part of, like, how TikTok and all these social media platforms have created us to want content faster. Full album lengths. Like, these people putting out albums that are 13 songs, 10 songs. It's, to me, I will say it's ridiculous, and I think the one thing I will say that the future of the music industry should start showing more of is that people make albums that are 6 to 8 songs.
I really think that's like the golden zone, like
6 to 8,
6 to 8 song albums.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless
you really don't need a 16 song album. First of all, it's a ton of work.
It is a ton of work.
It's a lot of work, even to get 6 songs out. It's a lot of work, but 16 songs, and they're kicking these out like every other year. Yeah. It's crazy.
Dedicated fans might listen to a band's 16-song album, but to get new people to listen to it, when I pull, like, I can't remember who it was, but I think there have been some releases recently where it's like, I'll look at the album and I'll say, 16 fucking songs. It pushes me away from it, which is terrible, right?
A little bit, yeah.
It's terrible to that.
Because you feel like you have to listen to all 16 songs to kind of get a feel for them, especially if it's a new artist. Yeah.
Especially if it's a new artist. Now, I will say, one of my other favorite artists is this guy named Logic, and he put together a concept album called Everybody. It dropped in 2017. Now, there's a hefty amount of songs on there, but as a concept album, which I don't think artists do as much anymore, it tells a story from start to finish. Like, if you were to just jump in at track 10, you wouldn't necessarily understand some things that go on. Cool. Yeah, so the concept album theory is great, which is kind of what we tried to do with some of our stuff.
Didn't 21 Pilots do that?
Concept album?
Or was it like each album told a chronological story or something like that?
Being a fan of them as well, I would say that Tyler Joseph probably has a reason for the songs that are in the order they are. So to him, it does tell a story. But in the concept album sense, like, there's actually, like, skits that are involved with it. Like, he has Neil deGrasse Tyson on there.
What?
And the story of who's speaking is it's part of the story. I'm not going to waste time talking about it, but it makes sense to justify why you would listen to an extended amount of songs. Other than that, I think people not putting forth that effort to make something like that, because that's a lot more involved, and you have to be really more creative beyond just writing songs. Putting out 10, 15 songs is ridiculous, especially if it's over an hour.
Well, I think that's kind of the key, though, is pop songs nowadays are like 2.5 minutes, right?
Yeah, they're
3
short.
minutes. So you might have a 15, 16 song album, but it's only 30 minutes long, the whole album.
Yeah.
Which
I still feel weird about, too. I'm like, how are there 10 songs and the thing's only 25 minutes long? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know. If you like the band, support them. If not, if you want new music to listen to, give it a chance.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, when it comes to songwriting, really the biggest thing is find inspiration. And if you can't find it, live life. Go out, meet people.
Yeah.
Make mistakes. I mean, don't intentionally make mistakes, but just try new things, give yourself new opportunities, and live life, and it will come to you. And then definitely jot it down. Like, you have to, if you have an idea.
I would say just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. Just write.
Are you working for Nike over here? Are we
just
sponsored by Nike?
Yeah.
Like, let's be careful here. Us and all our fans are going to be getting a cease and desist here.
No, but, like, the only way you can start writing songs and perfecting your songs is just to write.
Yeah, you just got to do it if you're interested. Certainly, you can leave comments below on the video or reach out to us if you do have any more questions, especially as it gets into something we didn't talk about really with the DAW. The digital audio workstation, your brain power behind how you're going to make this song come to life.
We can do that in another episode.
Definitely another episode, and maybe tie it in with the release and promotion, because that's a whole Mount Everest of information.
I think we would have to look into that one a bit.
Yeah, we would,
because
we're still working on it, but
we'll get there.
But at the end of the day, get inspired, get out there and just do it and start writing, whether it's on a piano, a guitar, or on a piece of paper with some lyrics.
Sure. Yeah. Just do it, man.
Just do it. All right. Well, hey, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Forestlake Morning Show. We hope you enjoyed this, and we will see you soon for the next.
Peace.
Peace.